So with your Web3 wallet, you can have local currency that's spendable in the time it takes to snap your fingers. So a lot of that sort of internationally mobile and mobile education industry, that's a big target for us.
Hey folks, Flo here. We're at Web3 North. I'm here with Alex McDougall of Stablecorp. Hi Alex, how are you?
Excellent. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
What brings you home to Ottawa since I now know that you're from Ottawa?
No, I mean, it's such an important kind of offshoot of a really powerful conference with SAAS North to start bringing sort of the commercialization angle of Web3 to people who are here to find out about software as a service and sort of extending that whole value proposition into Web3. So it's just very tactical, very hands-on. The panels have been great so far. A lot of stuff about regulation, a lot of stuff about business models, really like tangible things to build. It's wonderful to spin the vision and be kind of crypto maxis and tell all that stuff, but you got to really dial it down to, okay, what button do I click? What business model do I put in place? And I think that's really sort of the point of what Web3 North is working on.
Absolutely. So quick intro to Stablecorp for those who don't know. What do you do? What problem are you trying to solve?
Yeah, absolutely. So we build digital money infrastructure. So basically taking the payment rails that are sort of hamstrung by today's somewhat mediocre traditional finance banking infrastructure and putting them on chain. So we build digital money in the Canadian space. We partner with digital money in multiple different currencies. We focus a lot on foreign exchange, on chain FX, loading up payment cards, and really kind of advancing everybody's ability to move money around the world, whether it's from an individual perspective or from a corporate perspective.
When you say everybody, there's still a lot of people that don't use digital assets. So who is actually your target audience or your market right now?
Yeah, great point. And I think to the points of this kind of conference, it's there's a small hardcore of Web3 early adopters who are willing to download MetaMasks and get wallets and do all of this stuff. But a lot of the I think a lot of people share a similar view is this technology will really take off when you can just plug it into the back of things that exist or build entirely new applications that have no idea that you're powering it by Web3. When it just, hey, this used to cost me 1% and take a day, and now it costs me 1 basis point and takes half a second. That's when Web3 really gets powerful, when you can start to plug those value propositions into the back end. And so when we look at our target audience, so we got a low-hanging fruit for us is students. So students are very, very high education, tech savvy, very internationally mobile, and oftentimes when you go and study abroad in a new country, it takes a ton of time to set up a bank account. So with your Web3 wallet, you can have local currency that's spendable in the time it takes to snap your fingers. So a lot of that sort of internationally mobile and mobile education industry, that's a big target for us.
A lot of those students are also investors, and a lot of crypto investors right now are watching the ETF sort of story, basically, or saga. If I could put it this way. Long coming, 11 applications right now, I believe, totaling something like $17 trillion. And of course, having brands like BlackRock or Fidelity is huge. It seems like a foregone conclusion. Is it? And what will that do for the industry? How are you looking at it as an entrepreneur in the space?
Yeah, absolutely, and it's kind of interesting in Canada because we've had a spot ETF for almost 2 or 3 years now, right? And there was a lot of noise and big splash about it at the time, and then it was kind of a bit of a nothing burger afterwards, right? We ended up having just finally functioning ETFs. There hasn't been any additional consumer protection. It sort of was what it was, and it's actually interesting that it has become such a big deal in the U.S. as they already have forward trading ETFs as well. And so I think it's a big step in the right direction. Obviously, it's kind of another regulatory hurdle. It's another batch of institutionalization that comes in. The difference between spot ETF and forward pricing ETF is pretty minimal right now without this huge futures role that used to exist. But it is a more efficient vehicle. It allows people to borrow and lend. It allows digital assets to almost be backwards compatible with traditional finance in terms of securities lending and a lot of those vehicles. Mm-hmm. So I think in some ways it's a big splashy headline. In other ways it's maybe less of an important thing other than the fact it flicks some barriers to entry out of the industry for larger players like the BlackRocks of the world. So I'm excited for it for sure. I mean, you can watch the price action in the market whenever there's an approval from some obscure system that may or may not be an approval. But I think ultimately it's going to be the value propositions of the technology that really kind of move these things forward versus individual wins like this.
What else are you watching in the space, whether it be in Canada or globally? What, as a business leader, helps make your decisions for, let's say, 2024 and beyond?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it is, which chains are really focusing on the things that we're focusing on, which is payments, FX, and abstraction of digital assets. So whether it's account abstraction or things like that, making sure that people don't need to have tiny little fractions of gas in their wallet in order to do transactions. Just the blockchains and services that are making it easy, but also this trend towards a lot of our on and off ramps in the digital asset space have taken we'll work in every jurisdiction, but we'll charge you 3, 4, 5%. And when it's Bitcoin and it's fluctuating all over the place, that's okay. But when you're competing with a Wise who is charging 50 or 60 basis points for a full transaction, you can't sort of price it as crypto if you're starting to actually compete with traditional fintech. And we have the infrastructure to be able to be price competitive and significantly so with traditional finance. But we really need to move our service provision mindset from, this is going to be off-ramping a bunch of weird monkey JPEGs, and so it's fine to charge 5%, to like commercial, scalable thoughts around payments and really thinking in terms of volume. So I'm excited for a lot of the industry to start moving in that direction. Visa, Shopify had some announcements with Solana. There's a lot of kind of payments growth that I'm pretty excited about.
Can you share your strongest conviction or perhaps prediction for the future of the crypto space?
Yeah, I mean, I think we'll all be using digital wallets to hold and pay currency whenever we step outside of our home jurisdiction within the next 5 years.
Very specific. I love it. Thank you very much. Appreciate it, Alex.